We are back outside once again for another cigar smoking video, this time for the long-awaited Q&A. I've seen a lot of new faces on this channel, so I wanted to do a little bit of a hello and also catch up with you guys on what's been going on in life. Thank you to all of you that sent me messages. As you probably noticed, content has been a little bit more sporadic. One of the biggest life updates that has, I would say, made it quite difficult to film content recently is that we've been in the middle of a move. Least of all, we have had an attempted robbery. I know there's technicality, so I think maybe burglary is the right term. But without much further ado in regards to the cigar smoking, as I know a lot of you do come for that, today's smoke is an H. Upmann. Really nice smoke. We're going to just do a normal guillotine cut because we can't do a cat eye at the moment. There we go. Nice and clean. Let's just kind of continue what's been going on with our lives. Predominantly, we've had a house move, which house moves, I think people will universally say is one of the most stressful things that you can go through. Even when we found a new place and we loved it so much, that suddenly fell through, which was obviously good fun. Yeah, so we had to find a new place, view everything, extend our old place so we weren't homeless. Obviously, we thought that was the end of our struggles, but no, we actually then had the attempted... Well, actually, it wasn't even just attempted. They were successful in the theft. It's an ongoing investigation. I kind of infer this on my Instagram, so not going to delve into too many details at this stage. It was to do with movers that we had hired through a legitimate company. If you look them up, they're one of the biggest, if not the biggest, in the UK. They're kind of like Uber. From our perspective, these individuals were not vetted. They were soliciting money from us from the get-go, in addition to what we'd already paid online. And suffice to say, after the move was done, the next day we discovered some jewellery missing. There was only one particular piece that was higher value compared to the others, which thankfully was more packaging. So I count my blessings again. The paperwork of it all, the stress of the police, of getting insurance involved, securing the new house as well, given it literally happened on the day of the move. It's busy work season as well. It's all been quite stressful. I'm not here to, get the violin out or anything like that. And I'm very grateful that we're coming out through the other side, having learnt a lot of lessons. It's obviously been a reason why I'm not really on Instagram. It's the last thing I want, to go and live a fake reality fantasy world. But also we just wanted to make sure we settled into our new place well, and that I could pick up content with a refreshed and energized perspective, as opposed to something that was honestly a bit more down in the dumps. So I don't think anyone wants to hear that. Least of all, if you're coming for a cigar video, right? So, which is why I'm so glad videos like these, where I can just chat to you while enjoying a cigar, are so well received, because it's just, I guess, another side that you don't necessarily see. Without much further ado, I think we can get into the questions, so you can just let me know what the first question is.
Okay, it involves an action. Can you blow smoke rings?
This wind is not helping. I'll insert clips because there is a very big gust of wind. It's not just an excuse, folks. I have blown many rings in my lifetime.
I'll validate that and say you can.
And you're trying now. I can see rings are being made, but because of the wind, it just looks like cones. Haters will be like, you're a liar, you're a fraud. Whatever, I don't care.
What's your favourite cut for a cigar?
My favourite cut, which obviously I couldn't do today because of the cigar, is a cat eye or V cut. I personally find it's the best draw. It's just a cuter, neater, more elegant cut than a guillotine or even a punch. My least favourite, I know you didn't ask, but just in case, is the punch cutter, because I feel like it's sucking through a straw. Guillotine, obviously, today I've done that. But obviously with guillotine, I feel like there is a lot of room for error, because if you are a newbie, you may end up cutting too much of the head. So that with the cat eye cutter, if you've got a good one like this, and it's very sharp, you really can't put it in much further than the cat eye permits. It just looks so clean.
What advice would you give to other women cigar smokers who are getting rude attention?
This is a good question, because as you have probably seen, I get a lot of those comments. Depends what rude entails, because sometimes people say things that they don't perceived to be rude. Like, it could just be constructive criticism, but it comes off too direct, versus the other end of the spectrum, which is they'll sexualize you or harass you or just outright insult you or belittle you because of the fact that you're a woman. Chances are if it's online individuals, then they're probably just keyboard warriors that have nothing better to do. So I would just ignore, because you're kind of emboldening people and giving them attention that they clearly don't have in their personal life. But if it's people who are your loved ones who, you know, I understand it's tobacco, so it's a little bit of a touchy subject. People associate them maybe wrongly with being the same as cigarettes. That might then need a bit of like an educating, you know, hand holding and just a compassionate ear just to understand what is driving their rudeness. And then obviously if somebody is really in your face about it in real life, then you should feel free to push back. You don't have to be rude in return. I think being classy is also something that's worth upholding. There's nothing wrong with women smoking cigars. It's people's own problems if they have a problem with you, and just keep it moving. What do you think? I mean, it's not very common, so I understand.
Yes, I get why you would probably get negative attention. And when I read that question, I assumed it meant that, oh, it's a woman smoking a cigar, which is a manly activity. I would just say ignore it.
Pay no mind.
People
they're not
just
worth
don't really
it.
know what they're talking about. People will only criticize people above them and not.
Yeah, if they're doing better than you, they don't even have time to criticize you. And chances are they're probably jealous of you.
Yes.
Probably worth distinguishing. It's not necessarily also men criticizing women because it's something that is stereotypically male dominated, or they feel like people are encroaching on their space. But there's also, I find, a lot of women that criticize me personally. Just general lack of education or culture. They don't understand it's an art form. They don't understand how there could be artisans that dedicate their lives towards crafting the finest cigar. They see it as maybe the same as a cigarette that you stomp out after 5 minutes. You know, one of the commenters was like, I love Taylor Swift with my life. No shade on her music, right? But am I really going to take advice from an individual who has that as their username? So it depends who's giving you the feedback. If it's from a loving ear, maybe it's worth listening to. But if it's from an ignorant ear, just pay no mind and just tell them to F off.
This next one. Have you ever been to a cigar dinner where food, drinks and cigars are being paired?
I have not. Well, I would love to. We find with hotels, they do have an extensive drinks menu that they may pair with a cigar, but to be honest, nothing formalized. So if you've heard of anything, let us know. But we have our own preferences, don't we? Like I'll drink a coffee perhaps. Sometimes I'll drink a champagne or a very perfectly matched like whiskey cocktail with certain cigars. But I would be open to having a sort of tasting flight, if you will.
The next one is related to that. Which cigars pair really well with chocolate desserts?
Obviously, it depends on the type of chocolate dessert. Some are more stodgier than others. I personally don't eat when I smoke cigars. Obviously, if they have like little nibbles, sometimes like the Ritz, they'll bring some small bits out. But I tend to actually put my cigar down for a period of time, eat the nibble, and then cleanse my palate, just so that I don't get this weird kind of stodgy tar-like texture in my mouth. I think it spoils the food that you're eating, in this case a dessert, with also the cigar or the drink that you're pairing. If it was hot chocolate, I would maybe take a different approach, because that's almost like having coffees, which I do sometimes have with my cigars. An actual like solid food, tend not to have that.
Because it's quite a strong taste, isn't it, cigars? Even a light one.
Yeah, unless you get it with specific like cocoa notes, which you can. I think I had a Fat Bottom Betty, Deadwood perhaps it was called. It was an American brand. It was a bit artificial, so if you do want the middle ground, maybe a cocoa flavored cigar or with those notes would be a nice way of enjoying a dessert-like experience. But obviously if you do want to eat the dessert, if the dessert is too full and it's like ganache and it's very rich, I would tend to go with something light, just as the opposite. But then some people like yourself, you might want to double down on it and you might want to go with a rich full-body cigar as well.
I think if I was to smoke with food, I would do what the previous person asked, is I would do a full starter, main course and dessert, and then after dessert that's when I'd go down with like a scotch plus cigar as like a separate course.
But if you do, it's a preference thing. At the end of the day, how you want to enjoy your food and your cigars is totally up to you.
This next one is, have you tried pipe smoking before? We were talking about this.
Do you know what? I have not, but we kind of want to try it. I really like cigars, and frankly I have too many hobbies, but I think in older years, I don't know, there's just something about it. It's super classy, but I think that is something that you would want to do more than me. Yeah. And it's also quite daunting. I know some people find cigars even daunting, but I'm just getting around that. Ideally, it's something that you want to also have someone take you under their wing. You don't want to just go in cold, I guess. What more always into trying new things. And I know a lot of you guys leave me comments and you really enjoy it. So if there's any creators online that you recommend following or brands, let us know.
Do you find that you smoke differently for the camera than you would when no one else is watching?
I would love to say that I'm the same, but of course, when no one's watching, we're all going to be different. Probably the biggest difference is that obviously I'm not talking to you guys, so I can really just sit in my own silence and really just take a lot more time, because obviously for you, I'm very mindful that even though I'm sure a lot of you would love to just do a live smoke with me, which is something that we're working on, right? It's not something that really lends itself to YouTube, and long breaks don't really work for that. So I do find myself, even now, right, when I'm talking, I can't smoke. So, and vice versa. Also, I'm very mindful of my etiquette on camera, because not that it really matters to me what other people think, but I also want to make sure that I'm conveying cigars in the best possible way.
When you're on camera, you actually have the cigar to yourself. When you smoke, it's normally me.
I tend not to want to have a whole, a Corona-sized cigar or Churchill to myself, frankly. Obviously, something light like an H. Upmann or Flor Decano or something that is a Gordo or Petit Corona size, I can enjoy myself. But I like to do that with friends, and I like to do that over several hours, which does not lend itself well to YouTube.
One for each of us is enough. There have been times where we have gone to smoking lounges and had smoking sessions with our friends in the evening where we're chatting and we're having like 2 or 3, and then when we go home we suddenly feel really sick. So last one before some funny comments is what's your favorite movie and / or TV show? Now that's a very good cigar.
I love this. I just clapped on all the effort, because I would love to watch a movie while smoking a cigar. I feel like that would be the perfect time, because you can really enjoy the cigar whilst paying attention to the movie. This is difficult for me because I have a lot of varied genres. If I'm looking for something very silly, I could go into rom-com like Mean Girls type thing. If I want to go for something just light-hearted as well, like I could go into Pixar. Up is one of my favorites. Coco is great. Then I'm really into thrillers. Your Gone Girls, Interstellars, even Korean films. So Train to Busan is great. We really liked Kingdom. I know it's not a film, but it's basically like mini
TV
films.
show was included.
Yeah. The one that we watched recently, I think it was like Forgotten, which is crazy good. Random stuff like Old Boy, which I'm not going to say I recommend, but it is definitely memorable. It is very Pulp Fiction-like. I do like also fantasy stuff like Pan's Labyrinth is really great. I even like international films like Persepolis and documentary style films. I don't know, I just like documentaries. True crime documentaries and films are just all the rage for me. So I actually like things that are reality. I don't know, does that make me weird? It's pretty varied. It depends on the mood. If I had to be like, gun to your head, you're going to watch this for the rest of your life, I don't know, I'd probably pick something like in a trilogy to treat it like Lord of the Rings. And I would love to know your favourite films as well. Do we have any more questions?
No, apart from one of the individuals says, nice moustaches, have a good day. But I think he meant that very jokingly. So
I don't know, what are you talking about? I didn't shave this week. We have a lot of inside jokes on this channel, which I really, really like. And I want to lean into those a lot more. But any others?
No, it's pretty much it. The guy said he was going to make popcorn whilst watching.
Awesome. So. That was really, really fun. I'd love to do this again, and hopefully you guys enjoyed it just as much as I did. We're going to finish our cigar off camera. Thank you as always for watching, and I'll catch you in my next one.